Good morning, guys. Okay, I believe we are live. I'm gonna stop this thing. Uh-oh, oh God, did I do it again? No, I didn't. Here I am. Okay, I'm still here. I was like, did I do it again? I keep closing stuff. So here we go. I tried this earlier. You guys are gonna have to bear with me until I figure out how to do this. I'm used to doing this in meetings where I'm dealing with other people live, but doing this on YouTube is something I'm never sure whether it's actually working or not. And then by the time I figure out it's not, I'm into it. So anyway, we're gonna go back. I'm gonna share screen again. We're gonna go back to where we were yesterday, where we left off. If you have seen the first part one, then you already know this is somewhat triggering. You can fast forward it if you're not watching it live. I would cut some of it out, except that I'm watching it live, like I'm watching it with you guys. So I don't quite know what's going to be said until it's said. So, but anyways, so we're going to get going. Let me just get in here. Uh-oh, sorry. Let me get in here and find before where we are. I need to share so we can get right back to it. So let's go back and we'll get all this all on, and hopefully I can do it right this time and we won't have the whole issue. So let's get going, and hopefully you don't have the double talking happening. Okay.
Stupid, right? You must think you stupid. So
Okay, I'm sorry.
Employees, he would come and tell me he had of situations like this. What men want women to do is to say, you're the problem. You're attracted that, like attracts like, you dirty, they're dirty, it's your fault. This is what so they want to quote unquote blame the victim, but that's not how you analyze a situation. You analyze situations based on patterns. So what they don't realize is after every last one of those things, I never just jumped into relationships back to back to back. No, I did some self-work. I did some introspection. I changed some thoughts. I changed a lot. And every time I changed, the men's behaviors did not change. I change, but the male's behaviors do not change. That's real interesting. So after the last two guys that I dealt with, and this was 2021, after that, one of them was a friend, one of them I was dating for a little bit. One of them was a friend, one of them I was dating for a little bit. The friend tried to set me up over a period of 5 years to try to take some money from me. He set me up for a period of 5 years to try to run a hustle on me. And in the end, it backfired on him. And luckily, I figured it out and caught him before it actually happened, right? And so I ended up cutting him off. But then the guy that was making 7 figures, you're old. Baby, when I tell you I done dated these suckers from the cradle to the damn grave, I done dated them in every tax bracket, okay? I have dated them in every age group.
It's true.
And the results are still the same, okay? So this guy, you got your own business, you're old as hell, you should probably be dying in the next 5 years.
You know something, that's so inappropriate.
but it's the truth. That nigga was picking cotton. That nigga has been around since people was picking cotton. So when I tell you he old, okay? All right. So that nigga had 2 toes in the grave, and he had his own money, and you have your own business, and your ego is still fragile. and you're in competition with a little 30-something-year-old chick, and you're flaming so bad that you're willing to sabotage your own company to try to get at me. Okay, something is wrong. At this point, it ain't me. At this point, it ain't me. What the fuck is wrong with men?
All
Then
right,
I
hold on.
sit.
Let's expound upon that right there. Let's
Yeah.
expound upon that. So, two different things, right?
Yeah.
One, you are an amazing storyteller. Thank you for blessing us with these anecdotes, because they definitely do paint a picture. And it's funny because a few weeks ago, I was talking to my base, and I was talking about writing a book about these experiences, because there's so many women who have had similar experiences. When I ended up living in my car, it was because I'd lent a male friend money, a male friend who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But when it came time to pay me back, this is how I ended up living in my car. And I had a roommate too. I was Tonya TKO at that time too. I had a male roommate who had this is when I learned, like, how these people are like, oh, the Pookies and the Ray Rays are the bad ones. When I had these issues with this white collar worker male roommate, it was a Pookie / Ray Ray who kept me safe in that situation. And I realized that a lot of these Pookies and Ray Rays are mama's boys, and they love women, versus these men who are disempowered in their jobs and looking to take it out on women. So that story that you told about the old timer with the truck, trading it in and losing $20,000 worth of equity just about. And it reminds me of how these people will prey on the weak, the young, the ignorant, the financially less capable, those who don't know, et cetera, et cetera. So I appreciate you telling those stories. They definitely paint a huge picture. Question for you, though, about whether or not we attract experiences, because I am of the belief that we do attract certain experiences into our lives, not because we're to blame, but because there's a higher, there are like interstellar, there are fabrics of the multiverse that are at play. And like your experiences brought you into the awareness that you are now creating the content that you're creating. And everybody's experience it's either been a blessing or a lesson, so that we can be able to move differently, so that we can know something different, so that we can rise into our calling, so that we can gain some knowledge. I would love to hash it up with you on that point one day, because I definitely believe that as energetic beings, their experiences, like even like my mother dying, I believe that me as a spirit having a human experience, that I incarnated into a life where that existed. Even the look, this video is not going to be monetized with all the words and trigger warnings, but even the molestation that I faced as a child, that these experiences came into my life and have had an impact on creating who it is that I am now. The patterns that have come up for purview, like in my life, the pattern that has come up over and over again is the lack of closure. And so for me, the molestation, my mother dying while I was away at college, I never even got a chance to say bye to my mother. I hadn't seen her in months. And then she ended up, she was dead. The next time I saw her, what I saw in the coffin was not my mother. So the patterns over and over of the lack of closure, and how do I move on without that closure? So that's been something that's come up for me as a spirit having a human experience. There was something that you said that I wanted to really jump in on. Last night, I was in a situation in which I was speaking to a man that I believe may have been abusive, right? And I was put in a situation where I did not want to argue with this male, right? And I have a policy of not arguing with males. I've made videos before, like the video of the woman who that man was like was punching her in the fast food restaurant, and then her son took him down. And I was telling these women, don't argue with these men, run. You just get away from them, because they're volatile, they're dangerous. I need to cover this story of these women. I believe they were in a bowling alley, and this man and another police or security guard was calling them all out of their name, and they're arguing back and forth. And I'm like, more power to you, ladies, because I cannot do it. And the explanation that you gave about this, let me just quote you correctly, about the orbitofrontal cortex and the amygdala and the cortisol and testosterone and how they just lose control. Yeah, this is why I don't argue with them. So when I was put in that situation last night, it really opened up my eyes. And then one component that you left off of there is the role that male identified women play in making other women unsafe.
Correct. Yes.
Because in this patriarchy, we have women who are looking for the validation. They're looking for ways to align and appease men, and they will set you up. They'll set you up. They will hang you out to dry, all for the accolades or the atta girl of men.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is something that I address quite regularly on my channel, right? Women are conditioned so hard, they don't know better. Okay. And so when you get to a place of operating out of love, you have to give grace, because you have to understand that people really don't know better. The reason why there's so much anger, animosity towards other people is because we assume that a person is an adult, that they absolutely have to know better. So we do not give them grace, because we close the door on what we understand that people know and don't know. The average woman is ignorant. She has no education on men. She does not know anything. She was born into dysfunction, right? So what women being born into dysfunction and them functioning like this for a long time, they think that it's natural. But they don't realize that they have come into a normalized or an already normalized situation. So I'm a teacher more than I'm anything, right? Because you can't tell people to do something, right? People only move when they have a strong reason why they need to move. Telling people to just do something with no energetic power behind their movement, you will fail in the getting people to behave. So the reason that I teach the way I teach is because I give women a strong basis on why they need to move a certain way. So people would say, you need to keep your legs closed, but you don't tell them why. So the woman continues to move off of her psychological programming, which is a false program that she don't know nothing about. So she can't actually keep her legs closed. And so men tell women, you chose him, and that y'all should choose better, because men do not think that women will actually change their behavior. They think that women will remain in delusion and continue to make the mistakes that they're making. But they have made a gross underestimation of the things that they're doing and the women who are bold enough to come out here and let you know what's happening. So on my show, I teach women all of the sciences and all of the philosophies and things to make it real clear what's happening. So no matter what subject you take, you can look at it surface level, and then you can go deep into that point, right? A lot of people like to stay up here and they don't like to dig under the ground. So every single thing that I do, I make sure I dig under the ground so that you can see the whole picture, right? So let's get to this women in this mammosphere. That's what I call it. I call them. You got the manosphere and the mammosphere. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So male identified women, they have been conditioned. Now, you have what is called principle. Principles, okay, they are the same. They transcend. Principles are truth. They are fact. They are truth that stand the test of time. Hey,
Oh
sugar
my
pie.
goodness, what a cutie pie. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I love you.
Wow. We
oh
just got our broadcast
my.
blessed by a little cherub. Oh my
Say
goodness,
hi.
look at this princess. Oh, hi. How are, oh, look at this pink little dress.
You like the dress?
Hey.
Pink strawberries.
Pink strawberries?
Oh, how
Say hi.
precious. Hi, what a cutie.
All right.
Hi.
All right. Get out the camera.
Okay.
All right. I love you.
Oh, how amazing. Oh, we've had our broadcast blessed today by a little angel who came to show us why we're doing all of
That's
this for the ones who
right.
come behind us. Mm.
Okay. So principles are truth that stand the test of time and that stand true in any field. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Principles. So leadership is about principles, standing on principles. So you done heard that.
Mm.
You have what is called the 7 hermetic principles in
Oh,
life.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
These
Okay, let's
are
talk about these Hermes now. Let's go into it.
these
You
are
ready for
facts,
that?
yes, that stand the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
So the 7th hermetic principle is called the principle of gender.
Yes, girl, get
Gender,
into it. Get into it.
gender is in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Gender is in everything, and they stand the same in every plane: physical, mental, and spiritual.
Yes.
So on the physical plane, okay, you have, let's back up a little bit. When masculine and feminine principles come together, you procreate, you
Yes.
create life. Okay. On the physical plane, life is only created on the physical plane through sex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which means that the male body is the masculine vessel on the physical plane,
Mm-hmm.
not the mental and spiritual plane. Those are 2 different planes. But on the physical plane, the male is the masculine counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
The female is the feminine counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come together through sex, they create a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The brain, okay, is responsible for human behavior. So when you look at the yin and yang, the yin and yang shows black and white. Black represents the feminine and white represents the masculine. Okay. All right. This is important to understand. What is masculine energy? That's the question that nobody has answered. They talk masculine and feminine all the time, but they do not tell you what masculine energy is, because the people who are saying this don't know. They're just
Right.
out here talking.
Right.
Masculine energy is a moving energy. It does work. So everybody has masculine energy in the physical. Every person has masculine energy on the physical plane, because no living being can live without having both counterparts, masculine and feminine. In the physical body, masculine energy are chemicals, because energy must flow. Energy must move. And the moving energy is masculine energy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So women in the yin and yang, the yin represents black, and it's the feminine, right? And it has that small little white circle in there, right?
Right.
The
Yeah.
feminine, go ahead.
It's time for us to take a break. How much more time do
Okay.
you need to finish this
Oh.
one point?
Oh no, this one's long. We need to
Okay.
talk
All
after
right. So let me get everybody geared up for the break. Thank you. All right. So remember where it is that you're at. You were talking about the masculine. Woo! Welcome, 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 welcome back, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. So, listen. If you did not move before, you have got to have moved this time, because that was amazing. And if you didn't get your groove on, here's another opportunity, because we did receive a super apple in. So let's get this party started. You know what time it is? You know what time? Hey! Go ahead, Princella.
Yes, so I have a Discord group that people can join, just so you can get notifications when I go live on my Discord, and you can get that on my channel. I also do memberships on my channel where we do Zoom calls every let's see, every second Saturday of every month. I do movie night. So we all of my members get to come in and we get to break down movies. Every Wednesday, I watch shows, or we just have communication amongst all of our members, so that way women can build relationships with women who are on the same wavelength and same journey as themselves. So I also run a book club on Sundays, so that I can teach women how to personally develop. So what I do is really active transformation for women. And if you want to be a part of that, you can definitely come over there to my channel.
Yes, absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love that. You know, I need to do more of that behind the scenes, because I have the text notification squad, and I've been wanting to start up some group coaching, because I'm a trained life coach as well as a certified clinical hypnotherapist. And I definitely want to do more of that. This is definitely inspiring, because I love hearing that you have a book club, that you watch movies with people, because there's some love and romance shows that I would love to watch with people behind the scenes, because a lot of this stuff needs to be broken down so that people can see case by case what it is that we are actually dealing with out here. So thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Let's talk a little bit before we get into the rest of the video, so that we can talk about what was it that took us so long to do a collaboration.
Oh, okay. So we were originally going to do a collaboration. I think this was back in February, and I was pretty
Yeah.
excited about it. And then when I posted it in the community post, there were some people that were not really feeling the collaboration. They weren't feeling the perspective they had on you and how you handle your interviews. They weren't feeling that, because a lot of them are overprotective of their content creators. So after you saw that, you kind of backed out, because you don't want to participate because of it. So it was dead from then on. You did mention that you would be open to a panel discussion as opposed to a one-on-one at that time. And to me,
Let's not
it
talk. Let's
was
not talk about the rest. Let's not talk about. Let's not talk about that part.
Yeah, no, I was just saying it,
Okay. Okay.
at that point it was what it was, but we're
Mm-hmm.
here now as a result of another catalyst, which turned which
Catalyst.
turned out
Yes.
to be good. It was a catalyst, it turned out to be a good thing anyway.
Girl, listen. You know what? That was quite inappropriate of me. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there's certain things that I just don't want to talk about publicly, because
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
yes.
trust me, I wasn't going there. I was not going to
Okay,
say that.
okay,
But
okay, okay,
yeah.
okay, 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 okay. But yes, so one of the things that I learned from this situation, because two things. So yeah, when I saw that, I was like, you know what, I'm just really not in the mood for the drama. I'm not in the mood for overprotective fans lunging down and picking apart whatever it is that we decide to do, right?
Mhm.
I would hope us that we female content creators in the front that we serve as an example for a few different things, that we serve as an example for when you're talking to a person and there's something that you have questions about, that you speak up and you ask the questions. Two, that just because somebody else has an opinion of somebody doesn't mean that that is the capital T truth. That could be their lowercase t truth. And also, you know, we as women, especially Black women, we have got to stop the bullying of other Black women. We've got to stop the not wanting us to be together or come together or have discord or have beef and all of that other stuff, because it doesn't serve us. We are stronger together. We're stronger with it. So listen, you have an expertise in the research that you've done, molecular biology background, and the research that you've done on men and relationships. I have an expertise in self-love. And so I'm not going to know everything about everything, just like you won't know everything about everything. And I think it's important for people with different modalities to come together, you know, because there will be overlap, like the 7 Hermetic principles, and, you know, and some of I have an interest in neuroscience, neuropsychology, and I really, really want to dive into the brain and how the brain functions with some of these psychological principles and why we do some of what it is that we do because of the human brain. So, somebody's saying we aren't that bad, Tonya. Sometimes people out there can be very vicious. What are some of your thoughts on women stopping the discord between one another and really coming together? Why is it that we have so much strife between us that keeps us weakened, in the face of a tremendous adversary?
Well, we have to understand that 99% of the planet is not operating out of a place of love. Everybody is operating off of their own experiences, their own perceptions on reality. And these are unconscious responses. They're unconscious response patterns. So it's not to really throw slight at anybody, because we're all operating in this level of unconsciousness. And when we say unconsciousness, people do not understand what that means. Okay. In the physical body, you have the brain, and the brain is the computer, that's the hardware that's designed for you to operate in this physical realm. And the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system are your automatic nervous systems, or is your automatic nervous system that responds unconsciously to environmental stimuli. And this is the feminine counterpart. This is infinite intelligence. Subconscious mind is infinite intelligence. So whatever experiences, information that a person comes across, the infinite intelligent being, the system is going to respond without the organism being in conscious knowledge of it. So when people respond to certain stimuli, 99% of it is unconscious. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they mean bad. They just came across an experience before, and this new experience is identical to the last one, and there is an automatic instant response without a critical thought that goes into a person's mind. So when I say operate in love, you have to operate and give people grace to understand that that's what's going on, and the people who you're giving grace to are not able to see themselves or other people on that level, right? So until we teach people what love is, until we move people from a level of, hey, I'm responding, you've done this, you've done that, I got all of it, and I'm having these same experiences, or I'm going to respond based on how the outcome was, until we get people to critically think and all of that stuff, everybody is going to do that. Everybody, all walks of life, because that doesn't have anything to do
Yeah.
with race, creed, sex, or color, right? It's just how the human body works. So I want to give people grace and understanding, because when you seek understanding, you get a bigger perspective and you can see things more clearly, and you can respond in a more controlled
Mm-hmm.
and graceful way, right?
Yes,
That's
yes,
just how
yes,
it is.
yes, 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 yes. If you were to sum that up so that a fifth grader could understand it, because, you know, how would you sum that up in a sentence so that a sentence or two so that a fifth grader could understand?
What you think is personal is not personal. And if you slow down, ask questions, and consider all of the information, you'll grow a new understanding and you can see things more clearly. Most of the things that you see are of yourself and not of other people, right?
Ooh,
So just
girl.
slow down.
Yes, 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 yes. All right. Well, you know what? We are back on the broadcast and we're going to jump back into the topic. I'm glad that we took that segue. I'm glad that things aligned for us to be able to meet up and come into collaboration. Also, I think that it is, I think, you know what? I think it's important for people to slow down,
Mhm.
and listen and hear and consider, you know, and just see. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
One of the things that I take from the stories that you told earlier is that you continue to try. You know, you continue to put yourself out there. You continue to date these XY chromosome persons and have, you know, interactions with them. That thing that you said about the people on break, that what the guy said about his wife's niece, that just was like
Mhm.
a gut punch to me, because we know that this happens and these people are unapologetic and just grotesque with it. I just, you know what, anything that can help us overall. The question of the broadcast is lesbianism the way for Black women to
Mhm.
save themselves? And you said that there are four options. You
Mhm.
know, continue to date men, but date them with information. Be celibate with yourself. Date women. And the fourth one is what? I missed one.
Just play with toys, you know.
Oh, and be
Yeah.
on OnlyFans.
Yeah. It's giving
Girl,
everybody a show. Well,
you
I
know.
got this one. This one is 9 inches and this one is 10 and a half. Which one should I use today? Silicone or rubber? You can do that, girl. Ain't nobody playing with you.
You know
Ain't
what's
nobody
really
gonna stop you.
crazy? I'm publishing a video tomorrow of a
Yeah.
girl who is so if you're not on my other channel, on the clips channel, go over to youtube.com/ Tonya TKO clips. So you just search my name and scroll down far enough, or just search for Tonya TKO and the word clips. But
Hmm.
I have another channel and I'm publishing a video tomorrow with a girl who's talking about how men are jealous of women, and
They are.
basically saying that men criticize you for being a hoe or easy or 304 or thati and all this other stuff, right? But then on the flip side, they say, oh, if I was a woman, you know that they would be much worse. But what would be the difference? The difference is that you're operating with female DNA and they're operating with male DNA. And in their minds, they would be, how many of you out there, if you have heard men say that they would be the biggest sluts out there, that they would be the biggest hoes, that if they were women, that they would be the biggest porn stars, prostitutes, all of that. If you have heard them say that, put up a one. If you've never heard them say that, put up a zero, because I want to see some of these answers, because I've heard it. And the thing about it is they're telling you that if they had the female body part, the female anatomy, they would take men for every dollar that they got. They would have no, this is part of the reason I've been doing a lot of videos about trans, etc. Because an XY chromosome person who says that they're trans is still operating from that mentality. This is why a lot of them are in that profession. I'm not going to get into it in this video because I don't want to bring the controversial heat on you, but let's take a look at these comments. So people have seen it. Most people have seen men saying this. The the men know. We all, one person has a zero, right?
Right.
Another person has a 0. They're saying they've never seen it. Okay.
They could be men though. trying to
Well,
count it. Yeah.
You know what? And even I did a
Princella took the words right out of my mouth. I said, those are men. And even on Princella's primary channel, there are men who are lurking in there that are making their points and whatever, you know. And so, yeah, but at the end of the day, if you hear truth, you recognize truth, and you know truth. Now, you know, back to what I was saying initially, and I'm not sure if it was captured when I started this live video, but at the end of the day, the truth is empowering. And we were taught as we were growing up, the truth hurts, the truth, you know, whatever. And it could hurt, but it will not kill you. And actually, in most cases, it doesn't. Not knowing the truth actually hurts. Not knowing the truth, you are making decisions based on misinformation. And the point that we are at now, there are women who are being unalived because they simply do not understand the truth. There are some basic truths that women need to understand. So it's not just about keep your mouth shut, or don't say this back to this man, or don't, you know, watch your attitude around this man. It is literally in some cases about your safety. So it's deeper than that. And so when we watch these shows where these women come up missing, then they're found and the husband is charged, and there's 4 kids that now have to go to all these different places to operate, that's, you know, we are talking about a safety issue for women. So it's not just about, you know, who you date or what you do or how it looks or what people think. It really is a safety issue. And that's why I think this is very important information to get out. And I know it's hard to get through in some cases because of the language that might be used, or, you know, using the N-word or all of those. And as you see, I am doing it live, because if I didn't, I would be cutting all that out. I'd spend my whole day cutting to where the message gets lost. And I just think the value of the message is greater than someone being uncomfortable for a word or two. And so with that, love, and let's continue. We got a little bit of time left on this.
Broadcast with gay men, and gay men don't even regard their anuses as anything private or special. They just give it up. They anywhere, anytime. And any size. They don't even care about it getting stretched or ripped or anything. They don't care. Yeah.
No, it's serious. No, for real. Because back in 2016, when I was still dating men and still doped up on the idea of men, that I was gonna find me a leader and provider, protect, all that mess, I started to do some research on the LGBT community as far as men are concerned, right?
Yeah.
So you said that they don't regard their anus as nothing, right?
Right.
So what I did is I went and got a profile on one of them gay apps for them, and created a fake profile, and I started talking to these men on the gay app. The first dude that sent me a message, dark-skinned dude, you wouldn't even think that he was out here doing this. He sent me a message talking about, yeah, I'm just looking to hook up for some dick, right? And he sent me a picture of his anus. And when I tell you, it was like a cereal bowl. It was a cereal.
Shut the front door. Shut up.
I'm serious.
So you saying he walking and his food is just falling out?
Listen, it was a man. Listen, this dude is taking pipe that I can't even take as a woman. Listen, it's like men like pain. I need y'all to understand. Men like pain. They are addicted. It's women and men really do have an inverse relationship. But yes, it was a cuenco. Grande, mis latinas. Grande. The cuenco was grande. Okay.
you know what? This broadcast will never be monetized.
No.
Not like this.
Oh my God, no.
Not like this. Not like this.
Right.
It's the size of a cereal bowl, though, for real.
Yes, I'm serious. I am not lying to you. And then check this out. After I discovered all the stuff that I discovered about these dudes being on the DL, This was right. This was 2016, 2017. I go
Oh,
back. I'm doing videos on Facebook. I go to my audience. I say, look, y'all do not know what these men are doing. I'm gonna need y'all to go make y'all a profile in your city and see who on here and what's happening. So a woman in my audience decided that she was gonna do that.
I'm gonna
And
do it.
baby, she found her son's youth pastor on there. And she caught him just before he was finna take them on a camping trip, an all boys camping trip. Boy, she went up to that church and raised hell and took her son out of, yeah, baby.
You know, now there's one thing that I don't play with, and I don't play with the harming of children. That's one thing. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't play with that.
Mhm,
Wow.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. You know what? I am going to create a profile on one of these apps and just see. Oh my goodness. And you know what? What's really funny is I was watching this video yesterday of this girl who was arguing with this guy about why he don't want to be with her and take care of the baby. And he was like, look, I'm not finna have my cousin baby. And she was like, yeah, but you hid that from me until it was too late and this, that, and the other. And then she was like, well, why don't you just tell them how I saw you in the bed with a man, right?
Mhm.
And so I was just thinking about the correlation between some of these misogynists and men loving men, you know? So it's like you know what? And I did a video the other day where I was like, listen, a man, nothing's going to get in between a man and his pleasure. He's going to go in, like, we think men are one thing that they're really not. They're going to be in those DMs. If they have a fantasy, they're going to fulfill it. And I said, listen, this is why ladies do not wait to fill. Don't get old with your fantasies unfulfilled. Go and figure out what you like, and
That's
and
it.
and there was one woman who was like, I'm not going to support you telling women to be hoes. And the thing about it is, the whole mentality is something that's created by misogyny and the patriarchy
Absolutely.
to keep women in
Yes.
control. But I'm not telling anybody to spread their body hither or thither. I'm just telling women to know what you like, enjoy yourself, have fun.
Tanya, that's
Yes.
my message. So by you saying that, they say that you're promoting whore culture. By me saying it, they're saying I'm promoting lesbianism,
Mm,
because the core of the message is freedom of choice.
yeah.
Women can do whatever best suits them for their journey.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what I
Yes.
want women to
Yes.
do, because sexual energy is a creative energy that
Mm-hmm.
belongs to the feminine counterpart. And women can express their sexuality any way they choose to.
Yeah.
So I want women to have sexual freedom. Sexual freedom does not mean recklessness. It
Yeah.
means obtaining and controlling the power and freely using that creative energy any way you choose to further your goals in life, because that power belongs to you.
Yes.
So
Yes. 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 You know, one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I was thinking about this when we were, nonetheless, the topic is how female liberation, sexual liberation, is often the disguise for for attention for the male gaze. That
yes,
it's just the flip side of misogyny. I was looking at some videos by some Sukiana and some young lady have a video that just dropped, and she was, I don't know how many of you have seen it, she was humping her ass in a white man's face at behind a desk, and she was talking about her deep throat and her vagina and her pussy, and stealing other people's man and all this other stuff. And I had to ask myself the question. I'm like, is this female empowerment? Is this, or is this attention for the male gaze?
Right.
I'm curious about your point of view on that, because yes, we want women to be liberated and sexually free, but how do we know that that is true freedom, or whether or not it's the slavery, the prison of male perception?
Okay. All right. So first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
before we can say what's slavery and what's freedom, we need to be able to determine what's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think, see, you can't be free without the ability to think and rationalize.
Mm.
And freedom does not mean do what you want to do recklessly. Freedom means the ability to self-govern. So sexual freedom is about the ability for women to govern
Okay.
their own sexual energy and not for men to govern it.
Right.
What women are displaying is another form of sexual slavery
Absolutely.
disguised as sexual freedom.
Oh, you
Now,
about to pull out a book? Hold on, let me write down the
yes,
title, girl, because I definitely want to learn more about that. Oh, the
so
48 laws of girl, let me go grab mine too. Go ahead, talk. I'm
yes.
listening. Hold on, I gotta grab mine. Hold on. Oh, darn it. It is time for us to take a break. Girl, I got my book right here too, but it is break time. These breaks are coming fast. The conversation is so good. All right, so listen. Oh my goodness, that means that we've been on here for 2
illusion of freedom, which is a form of slavery. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because a woman who is owning her sexual power does not expel it through actually having sex. She doesn't, right?
Right.
And when you're dealing with men in seminal fluid, okay, because let me tell you, you mentioned it in the womb, seminal fluid stays in the body, not just the womb, because that's an environment that's manipulated. So, but we'll talk about that another time. But anyway, women limit their sexual behavior with men when they're governing themselves. So I pulled out the 48 laws of power because law number 31 says control the options, get others to play the cards you deal. In a system of patriarchy, they give you bilateral answers, right? They give you bi choices. They give you two choices. They give you black and white choices, two dimensional. So it's either this or that. That's how you end up with the Democratic and the Republican Party, this or that, black or white, right?
Yeah.
So in this system, it's either slavery or freedom.
Yeah.
People have been given the illusion of freedom and not true freedom. Okay. So control the options, get others to play the cards that you deal. The best deceptions are the ones that seem to give the other person a choice. Your victims feel they are in control. Your victims feel like they in control, but are actually your puppets.
Okay, I'm going to pause right here and just comment. So because I had never watched Tonya TKO before, I really did think that this behavior was messiness at the beginning of this whole episode, or the part 1 yesterday. But now as I see this, I realize that her operation is there is a tape playing. There is even though she is in every, way seeming to be present and listening and in agreement, our brains do all function differently. And she's functioning and doing the best she can with the way things work for her, because to think that she can put that on the screen, like that was an innocent, she's trying to validate what's being said and read, which now in seeing her do that, I realized, and not just within herself, but actually within the viewers. So that is coming from her own personal insecurity that probably over time she's been questioned over and over and over, like most women in any kind of media or any type of business or anything like that. We are always having to prove ourselves. We're always having to overcome imposter syndrome. And so that's what we're seeing in that behavior. So I think yesterday I said, well, this is just messiness. She's questioning everything. I mean, I can't, and I did say that was from me never having interacted or seeing her before. So, and also from me having followed Princella on multiple different podcasts and shows where she is constantly under challenge and attack by women and men. And so in seeing that, I thought that's what we were going to see again. So I'm really pleasantly surprised to see that that is not what we're seeing here, but more, you know, her being her way. And I can appreciate that. And I think also, I really did hear Princella say that people, it's not personal. They really are doing the best that they can. And again, yesterday, I was like, I don't know how Princella, I would be going off, because to me, I'm going, are you serious? You know, but I see now that people, and I do believe people do the best that they can, but I just, you know, that's one of the things when you're interrupting or when you're asking questions that really have nothing to do with my topic, or you titled the show as Lesbianism, the Way to Save Black Women, when really this is about empowerment of women of all races, not just Black women, but all women. And it's not about sexuality, but because that is the title, then of course that's where the questions that Tonya started off with and continue to ask came from. And of course, Princella will address. She has no problem with that. But anyway, so just wanted to throw that out there and let that be an energetic apology to Tonya for my misinterpretation of the behaviors I was seeing initially, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Give people options that come out in your favor, whichever one they choose.
Yeah.
Force them to make choices between the lesser of two evils. The lesser of two evils. What I do for women is I give them 4 choices, a freedom of true choice. But the system gives people 2 choices. Either you heterosexual or you're gay. Either you're Republican or you're Democrat. Either you're Black or you're white. Okay. Either you're good or you're bad. It is a 2-dimensional linear thinking process that allows the elites or the people who are controlling you to manipulate you. So now it's either freedom or slavery, but the average person does not know freedom, so they still choose a form of slavery under the guise of freedom.
Yes, girl. Yes. 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 Yes.
And so that's what we're experiencing with people like Sukiana, Cardi B, and all of these people, because that is not sexual freedom. What I do is sexual freedom. This is sexual freedom, because guess what? You cannot shame me on choosing to date women, because I have the freedom to decide how I express my sexual energy, because as a dark feminine Lilith walking the planet, I have that right. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to give that energy to no male. I don't have to give it to nobody. I can use that to create. And it's that creative energy that make the queen maker who the hell she is, because I have that sexual power. And what I'm trying to give women is the ability to own that sexual power without guilt, without shame, because this system is built on making you shame and fearful so that they can make their money off you and control your behavior.
Yes, yes. And you know what? So let's get into the nuance of it. How do we know that this behavior from Sookies and the Cardis and the Glorillas and the Sexy Reds? And how do we know that that is not freedom, that it's slavery? How do we know? Because it looks to some people like freedom.
Because of the outcomes. Before, first the nature, then the outcomes, right? So it's not freedom to recklessly put yourself in dangerous positions. It's not freedom to put yourself in a position where you end up being brutalized, where you end up with diseases, where you end up. This is not freedom, but this is what that attracts. This is what that pulls towards you. And then the freedom to be reckless, to influence the younger audience to go out there and be reckless, thinking they have power that they do not have, right? Because you're doing this for men who are riled up with the desire for sex, and a lot of these dudes are not even getting sex, so you really don't even understand what it is that you're doing. That is not freedom when you're operating in ignorance. In order to truly be free, one has to be disciplined. One has to be knowledgeable. One has to have wisdom and understanding. The people who are doing this have no wisdom. They have no understanding. They have no knowledge, but they do have the illusion of freedom where they believe that they can just be reckless with no consequences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I had the mute button pushed. I want to jump in because that is an excellent point and a great way to think about it when we talk about whether a choice is being made out of freedom or out of slavery, because what can look like freedom can in fact be slavery. And that's part of the problem with words. We have been told the meaning of words that fit within the structure of this matrix that has been designed at the very top of the pyramid by those who put these rules and this matrix in place. And so some of the definitions we have are flipped the wrong way. So it's kind of like saying, let's go back to the real slavery to the extent that we know. When Emancipation Proclamation was signed and the slaves were freed, it wasn't until a year later that slaves in Texas were freed. So we celebrate Juneteenth, which is June 19th of each year, in honor of the Texas slave or the Southern slaves. I think it's specific to Texas though, that were freed. Well, and so initially growing up, I always thought that meant like, well, they're freed and they didn't want to go. They wanted to stay slaves. They wanted to, but the reality is that is like telling a blind man that, you know what, you're blind, here you go, you're lost, and I'm going to give you some free, you're free, here are my keys, you're free to go wherever you want to go. You can't see. You don't know where. You've never seen the way. You've never seen the street. You've never seen the options. You have no clue from a geographical standpoint where you even are. So to be able to go from there to anywhere is not ever going to be a space of freedom for that person. He has to depend on other people to get him there. So but it's not because he's bound in his mind. He may want to go, he may have the desire to go, but he's limited by information. He's limited physically. And so when we see that with women who think that sexual freedom is sleeping with every man, or doing all of these things, if it is coming from a place of education, knowledge, and if they sat under Princella and understood the nature of woman, the nature of man, and then they make that choice, then I might agree that's coming from a place of freedom. But without that information, and I'm 54, And like I said yesterday, I got 17 years on her, and I am just learning this information for myself. So all decisions, every single one of 5 marriages, every decision before now was based on what I believed the nature of woman and the nature of man was. It was from what I learned in church, what I learned in school, what I learned in this system of misogyny and patriarchy. And so now with the new information, I have the power to make different choices. But that is with that information. Now I truly have freedom. And that's been my path. If you've watched me at all on anything, the reason I started my business, everything that I did is about freedom for me. And I had no clue until I was signing my own paychecks, until I had the things that looked like freedom, that really there still wasn't a freedom. It took me all of that to get to this point where, okay, well, freedom is not money. Freedom is not a house. Freedom is not a family. Freedom is not a marriage. Then, I had to go through each of those. So I do agree with what Tonya says, that we attract things into our life because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. We attract things to allow us to learn that next lesson, because until we learn the next lesson, we think what we have is that. And so that is where we are. And so, yes, are the people who say they're sexually free, do they believe that that's what it is? Yeah, they do. In most cases, because they just simply don't know better. And so our responsibility, and I say our as in the female collective, the educated, and I don't want to say educated because, many of all these people are educated. It's not about education in that sense, but I mean intellectual education, knowledge of self, understanding nature. And I have always, in my gut, known that the answer was in nature, which is why the Hawaii, which is why the Jamaica trips, which is why the going in and hiking Cedar Ridge Preserve. That is why. And I call that my conference call with God, my conversation with God, because that is where the answer is. And I love that Princella always comes from nature. So I wanted to give that example because she may be getting ready to go a little deeper, but she didn't go deep enough to me for people to really get that, because I can see younger people possibly going, well, no, that is freedom. That's just their freedom. Well, no, it's not. It's freedom. So it's kind of like saying we're all free. We're all free. You're free to do what you want, say what you want, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but if someone else is signing your paycheck, I'm sorry, you're not free. Because guess what? You might can skip work Monday, but you can't skip Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and still have a job. That's not freedom. Freedom is being able to self-regulate, like she's saying, and control the outcomes that you contribute to, right? That is really freedom. If someone else is controlling your outcome, that's not freedom, because every choice has to be made under the umbrella of that oversight or that need. Okay, so you have to make sure that you get your needs met and get to your level of freedom, and anyway, so here we go, back to the show.
Absolutely. Let me come on the tail end of that and say, I did a video on this Sukiana stuff when she was, grabbed by that man who had kissed her and all that other stuff, right? And I played some footage from her video, and there were a bunch of women with strollers and baby carriages with no fathers for these children around, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're engaging in this behavior, like you said, that can be very dangerous, very volatile, put you at risk for these STDs. You know who's the fastest growing population of herpes, HIV, and HPV, right? As well as chlamydia and syphilis. We know who's the fastest growing population. And unfortunately, because of the duality, the two choice system that we have, that it looks like freedom, but who's making the money?
Right.
Who's making, exactly, who's getting the the 360 royalties and who's really making the profit from it. And I remember I covered this video when Erica Badu was going viral for standing there with her daughter Puma, and all you saw was their, you know, just their nice curvy derrieres, right? And people were in a huff about it. And in the video, what I did was I photoshopped Snoop Dogg in the middle of these two young ladies, or the two women, Erica and her daughter. And I was like, now which one of these images looks more, you know, more normalized or more satisfactory? And it's become so normalized to see a man like Snoop Dogg, or what was this guy's name who was participating in that Freaknik documentary, that Doodoo Brown dude, you know who I'm talking
I
about.
didn't even see. Oh, I didn't see it.
Luke.
No, the guy who used to sing Doodoo Brown. I don't think the documentary came out yet.
Oh,
but what's his name?
Luke. Yeah.
Luke, right?
okay. Mhm.
So we've become so used to these images of men being in control of women's sex and sexuality that to see two women standing there without a man in purview was offensive to some people. They were like, how dare you be there standing? But if a man was standing right between them with his face between the butt cheeks talking about, I love big butts, and like, no one would have any issue with it. But the women deciding to take a picture without men present.
Yes, and
people.
women have a problem with that because they've been conditioned and normalized into believing that men are to control women's sexuality. Women, the sexual energy belongs to the feminine. That is her energy, because that is the creative energy. And so women have been subjugated, and men have taken their power and used their power against them. And women could harness that power and take back what's rightfully their own, but they do not know how to use it. They do not know how to harness it, right? And so women have to be deprogrammed, and they have to be retaught how to be women, because women do not know how to be women. They are recklessly giving up all their power to men and allowing men to destroy them with it, right?
I wanted to show people this right here, because I think it's, oh, hold on. I wanted to show people this right here. So on your screen, right, you will see a book. This is from Audible. You can listen to it on Audible. This is Kybalion, right? This is the 7 Hermetic Principles. If you want to get an audio book so that you can listen to the 7 principles, because when you listen to this, you will see the basis of all religion. You will see the basis of all philosophical thought. You will see the basis of spirituality, because they go into the 7 principles of crystal energy. And because we're going to get back into the gender, because that is in here too, because in the Kybalion, where it talks about the Hermetic principle for gender, it talks about how we got it wrong on the batteries, because feminine energy has a particular form of creation to it.
Yes.
And so yes, this is it right here. So just take a screenshot of that and then just look that up. I'll put this, let me turn off this thing so you all can see. You see that? And you see so there. Take a look and a listen to that. You have a different one?
Or it's the same one, but this is the 3 initiates in the book form.
In the book form. Okay, perfect. So there you have 2 options. The Audible or the book. Or you can get both of them. I like to get the book and the audio book sometimes, just to read and listen at the same time. They say that your retention goes up by 33% when you do that. So because we're running low in time now, so we have to jump back on track.
Yes.
There were a few things. Okay, we were talking about the freedom to self-govern. We were talking about the yin, the yang. Let's jump into that. So we were talking about the black with the white and the white with the little black. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so women are the feminine counterpart in the physical plane. Remember, you have physical, mental, and spiritual. Okay, so the first plane is the physical plane, and the woman is the feminine vessel. which means that she is in the creative vessel. Okay. And when you go to the mind space, moving from the body to the mind, okay, well, let me go back so I can make you remember that men and women on the physical plane come together to create a baby through sex. That's the masculine and feminine joining on the physical plane. That is the only purpose for the masculine and feminine counterpart on the physical plane, the procreation through sex, because to bring masculine and feminine together creates life. No life can exist without both masculine and feminine together. So that means as a living, breathing organism inside of you, you have both masculine and feminine counterparts operating in you because you are a living organism. Okay. Now let's move from the body to the mind. The left side of the brain is the analytical side, the logical side. Okay, this is still in the physical. I'm sorry, this is still in the physical because we're talking about the brain. Left side is the logical side, right side is the feminine side. It's the creative side, right? It's the imaginative side of the brain, okay? And the left side is your analytical side, okay? When you bring them two together, you take action or conscious thought, because your conscious mind, your critical mind, the mind that asks questions, who, what, when, where, why, and how, that's your conscious mind. That's your masculine mind. Your feminine mind is the creative, artistic side of the mind. So when you marry willpower, work ethic, critical thought, who, what, when, where, and why, you marry that to creativity, you manifest into the physical reality what it is that you want. So if you want to write a book, you will ask yourself, okay, how do I produce a book? Who, what, when, where, why? What am I talking about? What is this going to be about? How much is this going to cost? This is how much time it's going to take, blah, blah, blah. What's the subject? Blah, blah, blah. That's your critical mind going to work. And your creative mind is all of the characters and the storyline and all of that. When you marry these two, then you make a new baby. You make a mind child. You have a mind child. It's about procreation. Okay. So what the deal is that in the yin and yang, the black area in the yin and yang is the feminine side of the brain, which is the feminine side, which is the creative. Since women are in the feminine side, the creative body, they have more of a capability to create and reproduce and manifest than men, because the yin only needs a small amount of masculine energy to manifest something. That's why it has that small white circle in it. That small white circle is the masculine energy. Women have masculine energy just by existing and living on the planet. But because they're in the feminine vessel, they're automatically the creative vessel, which means that women don't have to do as much work as men to create something. When you look at the white side that has the small black hole in there, the small black circle, men have a very small access to the creative. The only way that they can create in large quantities is through access of a woman. That's what that yin and yang is showing. The masculine has too much work ethic. It depends too much. So this is the reason why the males operate mainly from the left side of the brain, and they have a shutdown, or they communicate only from this side mainly. Their right side is practically shut down. This is why males operate like robots. This is why you say a man is supposed to do. He's supposed to do, because he is in the masculine vessel, which makes life harder if he does not have access to a woman. Women are God on earth.
Yes.
Especially if she's a Black woman, because Black represents the feminine. Woman represents the feminine. So Black women are from the feminine race, the feminine vessel. She's double feminine, which makes her ultra creative. This is why Black people are on the bottom of a socioeconomic pyramid, because necessity is the mother of invention. You hear that? It didn't say necessity was the father of invention. It says necessity is the mother of invention. Why is this important? Because the subconscious mind is the feminine mind.
Yes.
It is the creative mind. So who is the collective unconscious? Women are planet Earth's collective unconscious. So you program women with the philosophies, and then you reproduce through the woman. This is the reason why you can't teach men anything, because men are not the subconscious. Women are. And so until women change their mind and know who the hell they are, they will continue to wreak havoc on the planet by bowing down to the masculine. You are out of order. Yeah. Women are the power source on this planet, and women have to change the fucked up program that was implemented in them by the elites. You have been programmed to worship men, and it's you who are the power source.
Absolutely.
Erase the program.
Thank you. That is beautifully stated, and unfortunately we are walking around asleep. We have been programmed and conditioned into believing the opposite of what is true. We've been programmed to believe that God is a white man. We've been programmed to believe that men are natural leaders, that men are protectors, providers, that men are what else? That men are independent, that men are strong, that men are a lot of different things, that men are not emotional, that men are, we've been programmed to believe that they're logical. We've been programmed to believe a lot of different things. And we've been programmed,
all lies.
Yeah, we've been programmed to separate ourselves from our intuition. And as a result, there's so many of us who are walking around sick and diseased. And, you know, I thought about this years ago. I came to this realization when I was in my 20s, and I was looking around at all of my friends who were becoming pregnant and all of the issues that they were facing, right? And I realized, because this was around the time that I came online, and I was listening to the people who were talking about all, you know, this whole when the manosphere was young, and they had the big names out there that were talking all this mess, and they were like talking about how women are choosing all these bad men and they shouldn't be here and this, that, and the other. And I thought to myself, I was like, look at all of these situations in which women, disempowered and disconnected from her true essence, are making these decisions out here. And these decisions are leading to children. If it were not for the optimism, the hope, the naivete, the ignorance of women, most of the children here on earth would not be here. Because most of my friends were having hope that these men were going to act right, that these men were going to step up, that these men were going to do X, Y, Z. And it was that hope that made them go through with the pregnancy. It was that hope that
Exactly.
made them carry for 9 months. It was that hope, that optimism based on no evidence.
Absolutely. And so you just hit on the reason why men have a major problem with me putting out into the atmosphere that men are incapable of love.
All
Men
right.
cannot love. And that's the reason what you just said, because if women stop believing
Yeah.
that men have a capability of love, women would close up shop. There
Yes,
would literally be
absolutely.
no reason to deal with men at that point. And so every time I say it, I could say it in passing. Men get antsy and they get irritated, they get mad. It don't matter. We are capable of love. She telling y'all wrong. You know why? Because tell the truth and shame the devil. The male knows he's incapable of love, and he been selling women love wolf tickets for years, dangling it in front of her face and making women work for this scarce idea that, well, a man's love is special. The
Mm,
reason that you ain't get no love from him because you just wasn't the one. See,
right.
Yeah.
that's the game.
Yeah.
And it makes women
Work.
push their fucking boundaries and sacrifice themselves playing a gambling game. And then she the one left holding the bag at the end.
Yeah.
But if she knew unequivocally that men were not capable of love, that game wouldn't work and women would not be giving up their value for hope no damn more. Thinking
Yeah.
that I'm special, I need your validation, because if a man loves me, that means I'm better than all the other women. People always talking about you were using. I don't care about those other girls. Just
Give
be
it to
good to
me.
me. I don't care what you do to them. Just be good to me. Women have been
Yeah.
tricked into competing with other women for male validation. So if he don't do this to me, that means I'm better than you as a woman. Women been fucked up through this thing called love.
Mm, yeah. Thank you. And right on time, because we are at the end of the broadcast. I had other questions for you. I need you to answer them in 60 seconds or less, okay?
Okay.
There were some people who were saying that we just need to date men of other races because other races of men are better. Address that.
Men are men all over the globe. They selling, men are fucking kids in Afghanistan because they don't have no resources, so they're selling their daughters. These are Muslim men. You have Muslim women telling y'all to stop dating Muslim men because Muslim men will come over here and use you for everything that you got, and then when he's ready to get married, he drop you and go marry somebody from his own culture. You have men raping women all over the globe. In Africa right now, they're upset because they said, the president said in South Africa, if y'all rape and disrespect women, you're going to jail. All of the African men are mad because they're putting limits on their behavior. A male is a male. It don't matter. They got the 4B movement right over there in South Korea because them South Koreans are tired of them. So a man is a damn man, period.
Okay, okay. And next question. All men, majority of men, some men, who are you referring to?
The majority of men, the overwhelming majority, standard deviation population curve. No matter what population you're talking about, there's a normal distribution. 68.2% of any population will fall within the median, and 95% of all populations fall within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So 85% of any population is average and below, right? And very few are above average, but these super intelligent, men who have these emotional capabilities and everything, baby, you're looking at 3 standard deviations from the mean. You're looking for an anomaly.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. Well, you know what? Listen, I'm going to give you an opportunity to let the people know how and where to find you. Go for it.
All right, you can find me at the Queen Maker. You can just type that in on YouTube and you'll pop right up over there at the High Power Podcast. You can go get my book, 41 Shades of Men, at my website, PrincellaTheQueenMaker.com. And you can hit me up on TikTok, The Queen Maker, the Queen Maker Official, and IG the Queen Maker Official. Come follow me.
All right. Make sure that you follow Princella.
All right, let's stop the share. All right, so I hope you guys have enjoyed that. I thought I was going to do more talking today, but I mean, I just think the show said everything you needed to say. On the screen, I intentionally, of course, I could have cropped out and just showed the video. I intentionally showed the chat. I intentionally showed the link to the High Powered podcast. I hope that you will do your own research, make your own decisions. Don't substitute my judgment for your judgment. Go follow, go learn. And if there was one thing I can say is get the information. There is a famous quote. Let me see if I can pull it up. If not, I'm going to paraphrase it, which will probably mess it up. But oh gosh, yeah, I can't even think of the word to even to look it up. But so I'm just going to paraphrase it. But basically, the highest form of ignorance is making a decision without information. So when Princella refers to women being in a state of ignorance, there is nothing closer to the truth than that. And I would say not just women, I say people overall. There are the global elite who know, the creators of the system who know, but the information is kept from the masses. And without that information, we're making decisions on pieces of I want to say pieces of truths, but I think pieces of truths we would all agree would really be a lie. It's an omission. So it is a lie of omission. And so this is information that I do believe is coming through Princella as a gift to women and a gift to this world. So I hope that you'll find the time to do your own research, go listen, make your decisions based on the information that you hear. It is not something that you're going to be able to hear one time. You might, if you're extremely sensitive, you might. But for most people who have built their entire world on a structure and of lies and illusions, it's going to take something to break that down. It's very difficult, and usually the only way you find that people truly change is through a life-threatening or a rock bottom event. And hopefully it won't take that. Hopefully the pandemic was as close to that as we have to come. Seeing the fires in Maui is as close to that as we have to come. Having degrees in Texas that have reached the heights of hell at this point should be as close as we have to come to know that something is really wrong and someone is trying to get our attention, and it's time to pay attention and to learn and to get an understanding and then decide from there. And that really is power. So with that, I want you guys to have a happy Sunday, a great week, and we will talk soon. Love you.